Hi guys, third podcast of the day. We are talking networking today. I know you both are extremely good at networking. I've got a great experience with it as well. So let's kick off the podcast today with James. Chat to us about networking and how you use it to grow your business.
Networking. Well, I've always been a fan of networking of some sort. Back in the day when I was at Foxtons, I used to speak at the Clapham Pin, the Property Investor Network. That was a monthly networking event as the local agent. That was good. I think any networking, the best networking is the one that you go on a regular basis. I've done a lot of networking, meeting monthly, making contact with people, but I've had the most business and the most referrals from one that I've joined recently, and that's through BNI. I know John, he'll probably kind of come onto it when he started EXP. He was recommended to go to BNI, a networking group, and that is a weekly face-to-face networking group. So I am the only estate agent in the room. It's all about independent companies referring business to each other. As a lettings agent, it really helps me. So I've got in the room EPC, inventory, gas safety, painters. So it helps my lettings agency. I can provide a better service for my landlords. And then when I stand up every week about who I am, when I do my 10-minute presentation, when I meet people for one-to-ones, people get to know me. I connect with all of them on Instagram, and then I get a lot of referrals that way too. So networking is good, but you have to, it's like anything, the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. So if you go religiously on a regular basis, networking can be very good for your business too.
What about you, John?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I just did a training session on networking this morning for EXP. They've got 2 weeks of agent-led training going on, and I spoke to a load of new people about the importance of networking. So we'll do it again here, and I think it's really but it's great
Same
because
speak.
I mean, I did a slideshow presentation for it, but I think one of the things that people think about networking, they either think too much time invested, I could be doing something else. They either are too worried about going to these things and worried that they won't have anything to talk about, or that it can be a little bit cultish or like part of it, like some kind of old boys club or something like that. But there's lots of different types of network. I mean, James just touched on BNI, which for me has been absolutely brilliant. I know that there are people out there that have got negative experiences of BNI, but for me, it's been absolutely positive. I'm actually going to become the president of my BNI chapter from April, which I'm very excited about as well. I'm very honoured to be given that privilege to do that. But we can talk about BNI exactly and what it is later on. But I think one of the things to think about networking is we all have our own social network. We all have our own family network. People talk about, you must talk about what you do to everyone that you know. And it's not just about the people that you know, it's about the people that they know. And then that's one of the kind of fundamentals of networking, is that sometimes people think when they go to a group, it's like, what can I get from those people that are there? It's not just about them. And of course, people aren't going to give you the best referrals that they've got just the moment they meet you. You've got to forge relationships. You've got to build up. If I have a referral for one of my friends and family that's, I don't know, let's say they live in Devon and they've got a £2 million house they want to sell. I'm not just going to give it to some random guy in Devon that I might not have any connection with whatsoever, because if that goes wrong, that's going to really have a negative effect on my relationship with that individual because I recommended them. So, the point of networking is creating bonds with people, demonstrating your worth and your experience, and then people feeling confident enough to be able to then put you forward as a recommendation to their friends and family and part of their networks.
It's interesting, John, you talk about people knowing what you do. There's a saying that I used to always hear, don't be the secret agent. So let everybody know what it is you do. We talk about it in our other podcasts that we've just done in regards to like social media as agents, letting everyone what you do. But obviously that's a big thing about networking. I'm so jealous that you've both got into BNI groups. I haven't even, one of the things I'm going to do, make myself accountable by next week on our podcast next week. I'm going to see if I can join a BNI group here in the US. It was impossible because it's so competitive there. And I'd say that something like 30% of people have a real estate license there, right? It is literally as crazy as that. They have millions of people that have it. It's impossible to get into any of these groups because you're only allowed one person from one industry in those groups. So to hear, it just shows you how it's not as competitive an industry. The fact that you guys have been able to join it, which is obviously a great thing. I'm going to go and do it tomorrow. I managed to go to one just as a taster once because we had another business in the US, and it was incredible to see how much business they would give to each other, and the real estate agents within the group absolutely killed it. So it doesn't surprise me, John. I know we've spoke before. You've actually got a few deals from it already.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in BNI for 2 years now. I mean, it was a big outlay to start with, because when you look at the costs of it, especially when you're first
what
starting,
are the costs? Remind me.
So I think it's about £1,800 for a year membership. I think all in, including the monthly subscription that I pay, it probably comes in around £2,500 a year. But
wow,
the point is that one referral will pay that over 3 times here around here. So I don't need. But when you first start, every penny counts, and you look at that and think, God, that's a lot of money to invest in something which you don't. I'm telling people, and I've got social proof of the fact that it does work. But when you've never seen anything, and someone says, "Yeah, this will be good for your business," and you go, "Really? How much have I got to spend?" And it's a bit of a punt. Whereas I can tell you now wholeheartedly, if anyone says to me, "What do you think about BNI?" I would say it's absolutely amazing. I think you should go to the groups and make sure that you connect with the people that are there, because it's all about obviously being, enjoying being there. But you mentioned about not being competitive. I think the main point is that the estate agency seat is extremely valuable, but it's not valued by anyone that works in branch level, because they're not the business owner, and they can't attend on a weekly basis anyway. But when you're just the manager of the office, you just sit as you turn up for your job, and then your listings will come in because of your branding and and the rest of the business owners, that's their problem to generate leads. Where are my leads coming from? That's kind of the attitude that a lot of people have that. And, to be honest, if you work for a big estate agency, your phone does keep ringing, and they have teams of people that are there to generate leads for you. So, there'd be, when I was at Foxtons, I was doing 5 or 6 appraisals a day. That's crazy. But you did at some point in busy parts of the market. Whereas now, as a self-employed business owner and as a real estate agent, so to speak, use the American terms as a realtor, but I use it a lot because of the connections with the US now. But once it starts to build and you're starting to see more and more agents, I mean, in the last year, we've onboarded between myself and James over 20 agents that have come to join us. And that's just the start. And I think, getting into these BNI groups now, get that seat and don't give it up because once you've got it, no one else is taking it from you. And the great thing with real estate or property is that it's not hard to understand. So it's very easy for people to refer to you. It's not like a company commercial lawyer who we have in our room. It's very hard for me to bring him a referral because I don't know many people that require his services. Whereas everyone knows someone who knows someone that's selling something or that's renting something. So it's very easy for people to give you referrals.
A few points there. So at my last BNI, you stand up for 20 seconds and talk about your week. I said, no job too small, no job too big. So through BNI, I was referred a 1-bed in Croydon at 200k. That's on a multi-agency fee at 3%. That's a £6,000 fee. That was now got an offer on it. I've also been referred to a 1.8 million house in Crystal Palace at a 1.5% fee, a 28k fee. So no job too small or too big for me. And as John said, for the agents that we've onboarded, it's a case of, right, let's help you with your onboarding. Let's now get your business foundation set up, your business page, your Facebook, your Instagram. Right, now let's look through lead generation. How are we going to generate leads? We generate leads by going to networking. Have you thought about networking? So it's been awesome for us, and any agents who are joining us, it's hopefully going to be good for them as well.
Yeah,
so one of the things. Sorry, go ahead, John.
I was going to say one of the plans is to try and get the London BNIs locked out with as many of our agents as we can, because
internal trading, is that what it's called? Yeah.
What are the rules? Have you got to live within a certain area to do it, or if you wanted to, say for example, Winchester was taken up and I wanted to go and do Southampton, that would be fine with it?
Yeah, absolutely fine.
So I live in South Croydon. I go to the Crystal Palace BNI. That is in the Croydon Borough. I personally wanted to be a part of the local community. I get a lot of local leads. It's not from property-related people, i.e., conveyancers. It's from a cake lady. She lives in the area. She's asked me to sell her house. So you get leads from people who aren't in property. But then, John, obviously you're an Earlsfield, but then you go to a Central London one. Why did you choose that one out of interest?
Because the Clapham one and the Balham one are both taken. So
Yeah.
there's an agent in both of those.
Yeah.
Now, at the very start, had that seat been open, I would have taken that seat.
Yeah.
But then I'm now in the Kensington group, which means I travel into Gloucester Road on a Wednesday morning, which is really good, and I like being there, and I get a different sort of, it's another string to my bow. So I've got the local stuff that I do, but also it means that I'm president of the Kensington chapter of BNI. So again, that's going to be good for me from a self-promotion.
There aren't many cheap properties in Kensington, if we're completely honest.
Well, you say that. I just sold a little lower ground floor, 1 bedroom. It was in a lot of, needed a lot of work, but that one for 475,000 for Kensington, would you believe?
Yeah, but still 475 for a 1 bed that needs a lot of work.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah. still quite expensive, but there you go.
But on the networking thing, that BNI thing is, some people again, they sort of worry about the commitment that it takes. You've got to go every week. You have to turn up. Some of them are hybrid chapters where you get like a Zoom. They do like 3 Zooms and then an in-person.
Yeah.
For me, I think you probably gain more from being there personally every week. It's more convenient certainly to have a Zoom, but I do find the engagement on them tends to be less. The connections that you make with people. I've been on a few of them. I went to the Knightsbridge one this week. I got invited as a guest, and it was a really slick production, and there were a lot of people on that. And you try to take their details and then you follow up with it, but you just do not get that same instant connection with people that you do when you meet them face to face. And that's all I can say with that one.
In regards to networking, one of the biggest things that I did is I got the idea from a podcast actually, and he said that he joined a golf club, and so I joined a golf club myself. I wanted to get into golf, and I wouldn't just play with my same friends all the time. I didn't actually know anyone when I moved to California, and I would literally turn up. There were lots of different groups of people that would play like on a Thursday morning, a Wednesday morning. They're really big into gambling there. So like everyone would put in $20 on a Wednesday, on a Thursday, on a Saturday morning, and there was often 20 people there. And then you'd be put in different groups. And then they'd also run tournaments, a men's tournament, a mixed tournament.
Wow.
And I'd probably say I played golf 3 times a week. And my wife would say, "You're not working, you're just going out and playing golf." And I was like, "Trust me. Please just trust me. I will get business out of it." And it probably took me a year, but then I'd probably get 3 deals a year from the golf course.
Yeah.
Now I was earning probably on average, say 25,000 per transaction. So if I earned 75,000 a year, now golf is expensive in the US. I was paying like, I don't know, probably £300 a month for my golf membership.
The amount of balls that you lose as well, James. I've seen your golf.
Exactly. But the money I eventually made from it, and I'd go in the bar afterwards. I'd spend an hour in the bar afterwards chatting to them. And my wife was just like, "You're just going out playing golf." And I was like, "Trust me." So, I'm going to be doing that here, making an effort to play with different groups of people and stuff. And so what I always advise people with networking is do what you love doing, but put yourself out there more. So Ryan Serhant, who's an unbelievably successful agent, does $1 Million Listing New York. He talked about how he joined 2 gyms. He loves working out.
Gyms.
So he'd go to the gym in the morning, and he would deliberately say, "Oh, do you need spotting?" And would deliberately chat to people. And then he'd go to a different gym in the evening. Just to network. So, for example, if you are, someone who likes, playing football or something like that, and you play for a football team, chat to them. And then, maybe sometimes, especially like rugby is a big drinking sport. If you play rugby, go in the bar afterwards, chat to the other people. I always say, if you chat to people, especially on a golf course, the amazing thing about a golf course is you've got 4 hours with someone. I'm telling you now, if you spend 4 hours with someone, you will talk about what job you do.
Yeah.
So and then we talk about in the social media podcast that we did. James, you brought it up in regards to like following them on social media and connecting with them on social media. It's the first thing I would do is I would say, oh, are you on Instagram? It'd be good to follow you on Instagram.
Yeah.
I don't say follow me on Instagram. Can I follow you? They'll always follow you back.
Yeah. So I live in South Croydon. I go down to David Lloyd, Purley. That is my office. People say, where do you work from? I say, well, in the canteen in David Lloyd after tennis and spa. But you have leagues there, so you can enter a different league, and I do that deliberately to meet new people. And then when you're chatting, what do you do? I work in property. When you say that you work in property in a club like that, oh, I've got 15 flats, so I'm a developer. Oh, amazing! So I've had leads that have come through connecting in the spa in David Lloyd.
Yeah, you talk about connecting in the spot. Yeah, I've had that when I went skiing.
Anything for a deal.
My wife was like, "Why did you spend?" Literally, we stayed in this amazing place where there was a pool connected to the room that you were in, and it was during COVID. So it was really cheap. No one wanted to leave their house, and we went skiing. So you would open your door, and there was a swimming pool. And I remember I was in like the hot tub for like 3 hours, and my wife kicked right off. What have you been doing? And I was like, I was chatting to someone who's potentially going to be selling a house down the road from us. It's like 3 million. I was like, I'm trying to make us money here. So it's quite funny. Yeah. You can do deals in the spa. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think it's hard sometimes, certainly for spouses that aren't involved in the business themselves, that there are things that you do which are important, which look like you're socializing, but are actually, I went to give an example. I spoke about it today in my meeting this morning, but I was in BNI, and there was a guy who was like, "Oh, we're having a lunch in the city on Tuesday. Do you want to come?" And I was umming and ahhing whether I should go because I was really busy at the time. I had a lot going on, and I thought, do you know what? I said to wife, I was like, I'm going to have to go to this because I think it was I had a pickup. That was it. I had to pick up the kids that day. And I did say to myself, I'm really sorry, but I have to go. I want to go to this lunch. I'm going to go to it. And it was a bit like, okay, well, are you working or are you just going for a jolly? But actually turned out when I met the guy, yeah, sort of. But the thing was, is that I ended up chatting to a gentleman there who, started talking to me about his situation. He was getting divorced, and he'd had a few wines, so he was telling me a bit more than probably he would normally have done. But it ended up that he had a £2.8 million house in Barnet, which I didn't get off that conversation, but I chased it up, followed it up. And that's the other point with networking. There's no point going and getting all these things if you don't follow up with it afterwards. But I managed to get that listing, and that's worth nearly 40 grand if that sells. And it's not sold yet. I've had a couple of offers on it, but it's not gone yet. But I only got that listing because I went to that dinner. But I'm certainly going to be asking whether I can join a golf club soon and go play golf 3 times a week.
It's actually
and get away with that.
I'm telling you, it's what you got to do. You got to go to the gym at David Lloyd, have a golf membership, and just get business in the spa and the golf course.
Business as well. I think it's a valid point that you mentioned about partners. So we should definitely do a podcast about the understanding and the support of partners in this business, because that's a very valid point that we all kind of go through. I won't come on to it now, but that's definitely a podcast that we should definitely
100%. We should probably even get the wives on it. That would be quite entertaining.
We'll see if she will.
We'll probably get struck off the podcasting, unfortunately. But
another thing that I used to do a lot of, I used to play poker. Actually, at one point, it was part of my income years ago.
I saw you were on the WSOP. I saw you got a mention.
Yeah, I came up. I got to the top 2 tables in the WSOP event and stuff. I used to play quite a lot, and I started one in my local neighbourhood, a poker evening, and I got invited to a very, very high end one, and there was quite a lot of money involved, more money that I was probably comfortable losing. But luckily, they were all absolutely horrendous at poker. So I actually made money from part of that. But the reason why I say it is because, these guys, just the wine that they were drinking was just extortionate. And they all had businesses and money that was far greater than what I had. And so, but it was enjoyable. I would go around there, drink their very expensive wine. Sometimes have to buy a couple of bottles myself and bring it just to play a part and play poker with them. And I'd have a really enjoyable night. But at the same time, things like that you'll be guaranteed to get one listing from a year.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's great about this business, if you do it correctly, is you can end up just having loads of fun, and you can include your family and your wife, and
Yeah.
and I'd highly recommend doing that and have a great social life. I mean, one of the things that I always used to do, especially when I first moved to America, is if my friends had kids parties, I would take the kids. I would stay
Mm-hmm.
for the whole kids party, and I would chat to all
Yeah.
of the parents there, and I would just go out of my way to be unbelievably social. And the funny thing is I'm coming back here. I didn't know if I was going to get into real estate or not here, and I haven't made an effort at all to get to know any of the parents at my kids' school really at all, because I actually got a bit sick of doing it too much before. But the truth is now, I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be making an effort, showing my face, and just putting myself out there.
So one of the agents, the network, Daniel Archer, amazing agent, did amazingly well. He has 5 children. So, very active at school gates. He's done amazingly well by just kind of getting himself out there. Yeah, a big name in the community. And that probably comes from, a small part of it is probably, school gates and conversations that happens organically there.
It is. I mean, schools, I've got 2 children. I sponsor our children's school for their summer fete, for their winter fete. I do the raffle prizes, and I try to engage myself in as much as I possibly can. I offered like a spring 20% that would go back to the school if anyone sells through me. So if anyone sells a property, that I'll donate 20% of my fee back to the school PTA. And it's the engagement you get from it is again, everything is slow, but one listing every 6 months or so is worth it. And I think the last point I would say on the networking side is I've had the pleasure of going over to the States twice last year to go to a big event which was put on by EXP, and there was thousands and thousands of realtors there, and it was a big expense. Flying from the UK and staying in a hotel in Orlando, and then also doing the same in Las Vegas. And my wife was very questionable about whether or not it was worth the output the outlay for it. But what I gained from that, not only from a self-development point of view, but certainly the individuals that I met at these events that we went for dinner with and that we met in the lobby and chatted to, that's not a network that's kind of going to give anything back to me like as a listing. But what it did give me back to it is inspiration and mindset and growth and all of these things which you gain from. That's the other side of network. Network is not just about getting a listing and getting business. It's being surrounded by people that you can learn from. So within my BNI group, I've learned so much from other successful business owners on how they've built their businesses, how do they leverage their business, how do they look after themselves, and all these little things which you wouldn't get if you didn't go to those things.
That's a really good point, John. I went to a big real estate event in the US when I was with a different brokerage, and they had a big public speaker, and he came on and he said that, talked about the three most important people in your life are the ones that will affect everything. So if you surround yourself with people, a good example, if you surround yourself with people that don't have a job and have no wish to have a job and don't go on holiday and don't have any of the things that we aspire to have, you will be like them. If you have, even if you just have friends that are estate agents that have no ambition and no goals and are very happy to do a 9 to 5 job, make a couple of calls, go home, earn very little commission. If you surround yourself with people like that, that's what you'll be. Whereas if you surround yourself with 3 people that are probably doing better than you, who you aspire to be, you will end up being like those people. I always find that if I'm around people and they go on amazing skiing holidays, they've got an amazing house and they've got a great car, I then work harder to try and have that myself as well. So it always helps you. So I think, John, you make a very valid point that networking is not just about getting business, but networking is also about improving yourself as a person and surrounding yourself with people that can help push you.
Yeah, we've got the EXP conference in October in Miami. An awesome goal for people to kind of go towards. As John said, he's been there twice now. Orlando, Las Vegas. I didn't get to go last year because I was away, but I'm looking forward to that. One of our new agencies just joined, Wilma. She's bought a ticket already. So even though she's learning about EXP, she's like, that looks awesome. I want to go to it. I want to learn. And what an awesome goal to work towards, to do as many deals as he can now with that awesome goal. Every time that John goes to those conferences, he comes back on like EXP steroids. It's amazing to kind of get some of his energy. And good on Will for saying, look, I don't know anything about EXP, but I want to go to that. I want to learn. And an awesome goal to work towards too.
That's it. If you surround yourself with people that are really successful and you give your goals then get bigger. Like in the US, we really talk about how many homes you sold. They call it, your GCI, your gross commission. They really make a big deal out of the numbers out there. And so when I started, I remember having a goal of this is how much money I wanted to earn. This is how many homes I wanted to sell, etc. So it's one of those things that if you are around people that only want to sell 2 homes, you'll probably only sell 2 homes. But if you're around people that, even speaking to you guys, it's like I was very successful in the US, but I'm starting from 0 here. And then we were chatting before the podcast in regards to how much you guys were earning. And the funny thing is, we were saying in the US, you shout and scream about it. You shout and scream about success. Whereas in the UK, we're very reserved. And it's really frowned upon to kind of showcase your success. But you guys are earning very, very good money, way more than what you were earning before just as an individual agent. And so now doing this, I am absolutely determined to smash what you've done, because just from an individual point of view, and it will drive me. And even if I fall short, it's still great to have that. And I'm sure we'll push each other along the way. So it's really fantastic to be around successful people.
Yeah, it's an interesting take. When any agents that I meet, I show them. I was like, look, I've worked exceptionally hard. I follow the process. I've done this. This is what I've earned. I don't feel comfortable announcing that on social media about the earnings. Maybe that's just my mindset. Maybe I should do that. But then, you kind of say that over in the States, people do that. I feel a bit more comfortable doing that privately to the people. But then I think that's why a lot of agents, they are reaching out to us and joining our network, because we are literally on the ground doing it. We're not just talking about EXP. EXP is amazing, but we are literally on the ground doing this. If you do that, follow the process, we'll help you collaborate, cross-sell. But maybe I should be a bit more public about the figures.
Yeah, I think the trouble that the British mindset has is, one, if you go too much in terms of, I'm not afraid of it at all. I think we should be celebrating success. I think that a guy drives down the road in America in a Ferrari and people congratulate him. Here people sort of scorn at it and think, how on earth did he get that? I think we've got the wrong attitude about it. The whole reason people go into sales or in business is to make money, and we shouldn't be afraid of telling people what we've done and what and how we've achieved it. I think the metric that's used in the US a lot is value of property sold, and I find that metric sometimes a little bit misleading, but more so in the UK, because you could have someone said that they've sold 20 homes, but because the fees can be so low, or if nothing at some point, if you go and sell 100 homes in a year, but you did it at 0.5%, and I sell 50 at 2%, well, my 50 home sales is better than your 100 sales, and I've actually probably had to work less hard to do it. So, because the fees are pretty much standardised, aren't they, in the US?
No, it's flexible. So there's like one guy who talks about how he sold the most amount of homes in California, but his percentage rate is way lower than anyone else's. So he just goes on volume and just drops his commission massively and sells a ridiculous amount. But the funny thing is you can never get hold of the guy. If you try and get any questions about it, everything that he does is very cheap. And so people go for him because they think they're saving money by going with a lower commission, whereas, as you say, someone else will charge a much higher commission. You'll get a way better level of service, and you might pay, I don't know, as an example, you might pay 20 grand extra for an agent who's got more, but then you'll get an extra 200,000 on your house. And it's just like, but some people's their mindset, they don't understand that, and they just think they're saving 20k. Well, you're not saving 20k, and it's just how we should do a whole
thing on. We could do a whole thing on fees. That's for sure. It's definitely it's a big thing that people talk about a lot in from various and things like Purple Bricks and Strike and all that kind of thing. But Good one.
Yeah. So in regards to networking, guys, anything else you want to talk about before we leave this one?
No, I think the one thing I would do as a close is you get out what you put in. So you've got to invest time into, big thing with BNI is givers gain. You can't just go in about me. It's all you've got to give back to that. People aren't going to give you stuff unless you're shown to be, altruistic in what you're doing. It's not, if you go in there just expecting everyone to give you stuff and also give it time, it doesn't happen overnight. You've got to form relationships and it will take 6 to 12 months of work to start flowing. And then once it does, it will.
I'm going to give you a little bit of homework, guys. I listened to a podcast and they talk about what book you should recommend each week. And I don't read books. I listen to Audible books, but I think we should give each other books or Audible books to read. And I'm going to give you both one now because John just mentioned about giving back. There's a really good one which my real estate coach literally banged on about 24/7. It's called The Go Giver. And so I highly recommend that. And basically, it's just about giving back all the time, not worrying about what you get back in return, and just always thinking about other people and how you can help them.
Yeah, I'll give that one a go.
And then the funny thing is, eventually you will get back a lot in return. So I highly recommend everyone to listen to that book as well. So guys, how do we get in contact with you? If we want to learn more about networking or anything else, how do we get in touch?
So Instagram, James Hughes Property. If you just Google me, actually, James Hughes powered by EXP, I shall come up as well.
Yep, Google Jonathan Woods Real Estate. I'm on Instagram as the_London_agent, or you can find me on LinkedIn as Jonathan Woods Real Estate.
Cool. Best way to follow me is going to be Instagram, JG_EXP. Thanks for coming on, guys. It's been great fun. 3 podcasts in a row. We're all going to be absolutely shattered after that one. And John's also done a presentation this morning as well on networking. So if you like the podcast, please do give it a review. Follow us as well. We're going to work out what topics we're going to be doing over the next few weeks. So if you want us to cover anything, then let us know. And we are always looking for guests to come on the podcast. If you are an expert on any particular guest, then please do let us know. Thanks, guys, for coming on. Really look forward to chatting next week and seeing how we got on over the last week.
Sounds good.
Take care. Thank you.
See you later.
Take care, guys.
See you later. Bye.